Welcome back. Last time we stood inside ambition carved into stone, witnessed a Renaissance king building a monument to legacy. Today, we travel somewhere much smaller, much more narrow than any other castle, and far more dramatic. Perched on a cliff above the Black Sea, barely larger than a modern house, stands one of the most photographed castles in the world, Swallow's Nest. I'm your storyteller and historical guide through castles, Christopher, and with me as always, the trebuchet with the most velocity per syllable, Trebby.
I prefer the term hype machine.
You're 60% boulder thrower at best and 40% hype machine.
That is still load bearing.
Fair enough. But before we go any further, I do want to clarify something. Swallow's Nest is located on the Crimean Peninsula along the Black Sea, near the city of Yalta. Crimea is internationally recognized as part of Ukraine and has been under Russian administration since 2014. Now, with that out of the way, Trebby, would you do the honors?
Of course, I would love to welcome them. Everyone, without further ado, welcome to...
Castles from around the world. Raise your voice, let the banners unfurl. Castles from around the world. Every stone's got a story to hurl. Sing it loud, sing it proud, sing it true. From the ancient to the ruined and new. Castles from around the world. We come to wander the ages with you.
It's time for history. All right, listener, there's 4 bullet points to history. 1 castle, and stay with me now. Bullet 1, who built it and why?
To understand Swallow's Nest, you have to understand Crimea. In 1783, Crimea was annexed by the Russian Empire under Catherine the Great. Over the 19th century, it transformed from contested frontier to imperial retreat. After the Crimean War from 1853 to 1856, a brutal conflict involving Russia, the Ottoman Empire, Britain, and France, the peninsula became symbolically important to Russian identity. By the early 1900s, the southern Crimean coast had become a resort destination for aristocrats, industrial magnates, and imperial elites. Enter the Baron Pavel von Stengel. In 1912, Stengel, a Baltic German oil industrialist connected to the massive petroleum operations in Baku, purchased this cliffside plot overlooking the Black Sea. Baku at the time was one of the world's largest oil-producing regions. Industrial wealth was exploding across the Russian Empire. This was new money, industrial power, modern fortunes rising faster than traditional nobility could track. And what did Stengel build? Not a factory, not a villa, a medieval fantasy. He commissioned architect Leonid Sherwood to design a neo-Gothic residence perched dramatically above the sea. Turrets, battlements, pointed arches. A castle built in 1912, 2 years before World War I, at the edge of an empire entering its final years. This wasn't about defense, it was about identity, industrial wealth, dressing itself in medieval permanence.
History bullet point number 2, what did it represent?
Swallow's Nest represents the Neo-Gothic revival, a European architectural movement that romanticized the Middle Ages during rapid industrial transformation. As railways expanded and factories multiplied, elites across Europe looked backward for aesthetic stability. Medieval architecture symbolized chivalry, lineage, endurance. But here's the tension. This castle rose in Crimea, a region historically shaped by Ottoman influence, Russian expansion, and imperial competition. It wasn't medieval land reclaiming the past. It was modern industry manufacturing nostalgia. In 1912, Europe was unstable. The Balkans were in crisis. Alliances were tightening. Nationalism was rising. And on this cliff, overlooking the Black Sea trade routes, someone built a fantasy. Swallow's Nest represents something deeply human. When the world accelerates, people reach for symbols of permanence, even if those symbols are newly constructed.
History bullet number 3. How did it actually function?
Despite its fortress-like silhouette, Swallow's Nest was never military. It is small, roughly 20 meters long and 10 meters wide. Its interior space is compact. It was a private summer residence designed for spectacle, not siege. Soon after its construction, ownership changed. Following the Russian Revolution in 1917, aristocratic and private properties across Crimea were nationalized under Soviet control. The building transitioned through different uses, including as a restaurant. But in 1927, nature intervened. A powerful earthquake struck the Crimean Peninsula. The cliff beneath the structure cracked. Part of the terrace collapsed into the Black Sea. The building stood, but precariously. For decades, structural reinforcements were required to stabilize it. This is important. Swallow's Nest was not built on a fortified plateau. It was built on dramatic geology. Beauty came with risk, and maintenance became survival.
The fourth and final history bullet point. Number 4. What happened to it over time?
Throughout the 20th century, Crimea experienced seismic political shifts. From Imperial Russia to Soviet control, to its transfer to the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic in 1954, to the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, and into the modern territorial disputes beginning in 2014. Borders changed, flags changed, authority changed, Swallow's Nest remained. It became a cultural landmark, photographed, commercialized, and embedded in tourism imagery. Not because it commanded armies, but because its silhouette is unforgettable. It is now one of the most recognized architectural images on the Crimean coast. And the existence is layered: imperial leisure, industrial wealth, revolutionary upheaval, geological instability, modern geopolitical tension, all anchored in one narrow rock above the Black Sea. So what is Swallow's Nest?
A summer home dressed like a fortress.
I was thinking a romantic vision perched on an unstable cliff.
I know what it almost was. It was almost missing from the map. When it almost fell into the Black Sea.
But with all that, Swallow's Nest answers our 4 questions clearly. Why was it built?
To be seen and remembered.
What did it represent?
A longing for the past in a rapidly modern world.
Did it function as planned?
Not without consequence.
And why do we still care?
Because certain images refuse to fade or fall off a cliff.
Not every castle was built for war. Some were built for imagination. And sometimes, imagination is the longest human story.
And guess what? Now that the history's over, it's time for my time to shine. Cause I'm shiny. Now, welcome to Trebi's Corner. It's where I get to tell you cool facts about the castle because I Googled them on the internet. Here is my top 3. Number 3. Can you go inside? Sort of, it's tiny. It's kind of like you walk in the front door and straight to the balcony. Number 2. Did Swallow's Nest almost fall into the Black Sea? Yes, in 1927, part of the terrace collapsed, which means this castle has survived a dramatic plot twist. It shouldn't still be there, and yet somehow it is. It looks fragile, but it's strong like an ox. And number one, the most Googled fact I found that I really enjoy. Number one. Is Swallow's Nest actually medieval? Well, that's easy. Nope. Nada. Zip. Nope. It looks medieval. It poses medieval. It absolutely vibes medieval. But it was built in 1912 during the Neo-Gothic revival. So, no. And now I get to tell you pop culture. This isn't just fantasy core. Swallow's Nest has actually shown up on the big screen. It appears in a 1983 Soviet film, 10 Little Indians, an adaptation of Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. And honestly, perfect casting, isolated cliff, suspense energy, zero escape routes. It was also featured in the 1977 Soviet adaptation of The Hobbit, which feels almost unfairly on theme. Beyond film, Swallow's Nest shows up constantly in travel documentaries and tourism campaigns. It becomes a visual shorthand for Crimean coastline drama. It's also been featured on Ukrainian commemorative coins and postage stamps, turning it from private residence into national icon. Small structure, massive silhouette. Pop culture didn't invent the drama, it just borrowed it. And that's what I call big castle energy. And there you go, that's Trebby's Corner, where I gave you all the hot facts faster than any other siege weapon. Because I'm a trebuchet, and this is my corner. Bye! Christopher, this castle feels like it was built for dramatic entrances.
It was built for spectacle.
Exactly! I support spectacle.
You support attention.
Is there a difference?
Here, yes. One survived an earthquake.
Wait a second. I also survived something. It was a dramatic, emotional earthquake.
Yes, exactly. You once panicked over the low battery notification. Today, Swallow's Nest is less a residence and more a symbol. It stands on the Crimean coastline as one of the region's most photographed landmarks. Visitors come not for sprawling halls or royal chambers, but for the view. It's compact, dramatic, suspended between land and sea. And despite earthquakes, political shifts, and restoration efforts, it's still there.
Still dramatic.
Yes, still dramatic. People describe it as cinematic, surreal, smaller than expected, but bigger in feeling. And that brings us to next week. Every castle balances between story and setting, so we want to know what you want more of. When you're done listening, leave us one word down in the comments. Ghostly, cozy, or adventurous. That single word will shape the story we tell next week.
It's story time, story time. Go grab a snack 'cause it's story time. Story time, story time. Go grab a drink 'cause it's story time.
Tonight's story is a ghostly one, inspired by Sean Nasa C's comment on our last episode. The Boy and the Last Light. It was supposed to be a dare. We were in Crimea for a family trip, and by day 3, I was tired of pretending to enjoy this trip. My cousin dared me to sneak back up to Swallow's Nest after closing, just until sunset, she said. Bet you won't. The castle didn't look dangerous. That was the strange part. It was small, decorative, perched on the cliff like it trusted the ground beneath it. We waited until the staff left. By the time we reached the terrace, my cousin stopped. You go, she whispered. I'll keep watch. I rolled my eyes and stepped forward. The wind whipped off the Black Sea. The sun was dropping fast, turning everything gold. And then the wind stopped. Not slowly, all at once. The sea flattened, the air felt wrong. I looked up. Someone stood in the tower window. A boy, about my age, still watching. I stepped back. "Castle's closed," I called. He didn't answer. He just wasn't in the window anymore. He stood 10 feet away on the terrace. I didn't see him move. "You shouldn't be here," he said calmly. "I'm leaving," I replied. The sky darkened too quickly, and the sun hovered at the edge of the water, refusing to drop. "It's almost time," he said. "For what?" I asked. "For the last light." The air turned cold. I glanced at the path. It looked farther away. "This place was built before everything changed," he continued. "Before war, before borders moved." His eyes didn't blink. "It keeps that movement." Crack echoed from below. The cliff shifted, not collapsing, shifting. "Every sunset," he said, "it asks someone to stay." My stomach tightened. "Well, what happens if they do?" I asked. He smiled slightly. "They don't have to see what comes next." The cliff jerked harder. Pebbles dropped into the sea. The path behind me flickered. "You don't want to go back," he said quietly. "Back to expectations, back to whatever's waiting." The sun touched the water. For 1 second, I felt it. The pull. Stay here. Freeze everything. No future, no pressure. Just this perfect moment. The stone beneath me groaned. I looked at him. He wasn't threatening, he was patient. That was worse. The castle wasn't trying to fall, it was waiting. Waiting for someone to choose not to leave. "No," I said. My voice shook. The sun dipped lower. It changes anyway," I said. "Even if I don't watch." The cliff groaned again. I ran. The terrace tilted slightly, just enough to throw off my balance. I caught the wall and kept moving. Behind me, I heard footsteps, not running, walking. Slow, measured. The last sliver of sunlight disappeared. The wind exploded across the cliff. The sea came back to life. I reached the path and finally turned. The terrace stood still, solid. The boy was back in the tower window, watching. My cousin grabbed my arm. "What happened?" "Nothing," I said. But as we walked down the hill, I understood Swallow's Nest isn't trying to fall. It's trying to stay, balanced at the edge of change. And every evening, when the sun hits just right, it asks someone to freeze with it. I didn't go near it at sunset after that day, because I know the truth. It doesn't chase you. It waits.
Thank you for listening to Storytime!
Today, we stood on borrowed stone. We traced ambition perched above open water, a dream built not for war, but for wonder. A structure small in size, but enormous in silhouette. A castle that survived not because it was powerful, but because it refused to disappear. And maybe that's the part that lingers. Not the height, not the style, but the emotional balance. Next time we'll open the gates of another castle and listen closely for what it's still holding inside. Some stories echo loudly, others wait. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening.
Cliffs remember!
And so do we. Remember, keep your curiosity torches lit.
And the drawbridge to wonder always lowered!
Trebby swears these walls can talk. Says it mutters when we walk. Claims it's magic, ancient lore. It's just the wind, or maybe more. Who built it? We don't know. Why here? That's the show. Did it fall? Did it last? Every stone's a question asked. Castles from around the world. Raise your voice, let the banners unfurl. Castles from around the world. Every stone's got a story to hurl. Sing it loud, sing it proud, sing it true. True, from the ancient to the ruined and new. Castles from around the world. We come to wander the ages with you. Come explore, come wonder, come along. Stone and sea, time and tide, every wall has truth inside.